For our next speaker, good friend Daniel, badass in his own field, runs his own insurance agency.
Thank you.
Expert in getting credit for whatever you're trying to pursue in life.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. All right, guys, who wants free money? All right, see, now people are paying attention. All right, so one more time. I'm going to say free, you say money. Free. Money. All right, one more time. Free. Money. All right, there we go. Cool. Do I have everyone's attention? Yes? Okay. It worked twice, and then the third time it didn't work, okay? So what we're going to talk about is how to access money, to start your businesses, how to scale your businesses, how to build wealth, right? Because at the end of the day, we all want to go faster, yes? By the way, it's really hot in here, and I really wish I could take my jacket off, but after Kang Nation, I feel kind of small. So the heat with the presentation is just what I'm gonna go with, right? So why are we talking about credit, guys? Because this is the easiest way to access money in America today. So a lot of people have all these great ideas that they can never do anything with because they have no what? Money! Exactly. See, I'm training you guys. Thank you. I appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it, man. Please, guys, don't make me feel bad. Just work with me. Okay, so why credit, guys? Because in American system today, we have an ability to be able to borrow where we don't have in a lot of other countries. Guys, we were actually just recently in a trip. We were in Mexico, right? And we're looking at real estate, everyone's getting Airbnbs and over there. Guys, you understand that they don't even let foreigners buy property within 2 miles of the beach? It's super hard to access money there. And you can't also finance the way you think you can, right? You have to pay everything over a period of time. You have to put 20, 30% down, then 10% in another couple of months, then 30%. Guys, so it's extremely hard for people to access capital, have assets, buy real estate, and actually make money. But here, right, this ain't the 2008 days anymore, but here you can get into a property at 3.5%, 10%, 20% down. You now have access to something that can make you money. Right? Something that can really make you money. So what happens if you don't leverage this? Well, number one, if you have bad credit, you're gonna end up paying in interest, right? This is the average interest that most people will pay in their lifetime with good credit. So if you have good credit, you're gonna spend almost $500,000 in interest. That's with good credit, right? Raise your hand if you have good credit. No, just kidding. But what if you don't? If you don't, you're stuck in this vicious cycle where you're not able to really access these things, right? So what happens? Well, the first thing you need to understand is how do I position myself to succeed at the higher level without having to sell off my company, right? Because a lot of people in here, this is an entrepreneur accelerator, right? So can you raise your hand if you're an entrepreneur in here? Right? So a lot of us, we want money, we want capital, but we end up giving away half of our businesses to do so. Right? We end up getting these really high interest loans, sometimes these predatory loans, these merchant account loans, and we can't afford to pay back these things. And then guess what? Businesses go under, right? You guys saw the startups, the banks that closed down. How many weeks ago was this? Where there's a huge crash with banks just coming down, right? Because all they did was fundraise money, right? From where they didn't really have it from. They didn't really have anything put in place, and they sold off equity, they sold off shares, they sold off positions in order to do so. And when things came coming down, it wasn't them, right? It wasn't their own money that they had to leverage with. They now had to answer to someone, right? And people said, I want my money, and this is why things fall. So how do you position yourself? How do you put yourself in a good place? We're gonna skip this part here, right? We're gonna also skip this part here. We're gonna go straight into understanding how this gets broken down. So in order to access credit, whether you have a business or don't have a business, the first step is having a personal profile that's strong. Okay, so what does this mean? This means real data points, guys. We're gonna destroy a lot of the fluff that's in the industry. You guys seen how to get $200,000 tomorrow with a brand new business. That's a lie, that's not true, that's clickbait, right? So how do you actually do these things? You build a solid profile, and you need to understand what makes a solid profile. So number one, this one's really, really easy, utilization. Don't max out your credit cards, guys. 30% utilization, if you don't know what that means, is if you have a $10,000 credit limit and you spend $3,000, that's 30% utilization, right? And you wanna stay under this on individual cards, right? So what happens when you go to 50, 60, 90%, all of a sudden your credit report tanks, right? And people say, hey guys, well, I pay off my card every month. Why is my score still so low? Because you're still probably reporting all of that debt. And a lot of people don't know this. This is a really simple thing. Just look at your credit report, find out when your debt is reported, and now you know when to pay it down beforehand, right? Number one. Number two, payment history. Okay, you can't mess this one up. This is gonna be so important because if you mess this up, it takes a long time to fix it, okay? So this is on-time payments, okay? So who's I'm so forgetful. I'm sorry. I forgot to put something on auto pay, and you forgot. And it's like a $20 debt. It's not even anything big, right? It wasn't like a $1,000 thing. It was like 20, 30 bucks, 50 bucks. And then boom, all of a sudden your score drops 150 points, right? Because you got a late payment. So here's the thing. So you know how you went to school, right? And if you did like 99% of the work, you still had an A, right? So here's how late payments work. If you have 100% on-time history, you have an A. And you know what happens if you have 99% on-time history? You have an F. You failed. That's what happens to people's credit report. And people don't understand how that can dramatically affect their business, their scaling, how they actually borrow money. And then age, guys, you have to go through this. You can't hack this. A lot of people, you'll see, well, I just added my grandma's 40-year-old credit card to my report. Why can't I access $200,000 of credit? Because you don't actually have any data. Guys, lenders are not dumb. They know how to pull your credit. They usually use something called FICO 8, right? Not Vantage Score like you see on your Credit Karma that tells you have an 800. You don't, okay? Get a real view, pull a FICO, figure out what you actually have, and build your age, build your data. This is the price you have to pay, okay? There's no hack towards it. You have to pay this price. But once you have it established, now we can talk about accessing credit. So have 2, 3, 4 accounts with good payment history. They don't even have to be huge, guys. They can be 3,000, 5,000, 8,000. Stay away from Victoria's Secret credit cards, right? No, what's the makeup store here? Sephora. No Sephora, no Ulta. Stay away from those. Don't get the Best Buy credit card. You can only use at Best Buy. Like, stop, okay? Focus on the things that you can use everywhere that can make you some money, get some points, right? So what happens? So if you do this right, you have a good profile. Let's say you're in the 700s, and I'm not talking 705, all right? I'm actually in the 700s. Then you can actually access money. So what's the great part? Well, it's very little to no risk. Why? Well, because it's all unsecured debt. If you don't own a house, you don't have to put up the deed. You don't have to put up the deed to your car. You don't have to directly give them all the money in your bank account. I'm not saying you should default, but you could, right? You go handle that elsewhere. But you don't have to put anything up on the line. They're not going to take it from your business. Guys, you guys understand that there's loans that if you fail to pay, they can come directly after your business, right? These types of loans exist, right? So very little risk to none if you do it right. Number 2, 0% interest. Where have you guys seen 0% interest in the last 3 years? Nowhere. It doesn't exist. Biden's trying to charge you more if you have a better credit score for houses now too, right? It's not going to happen. It's going to get rejected, hopefully, right? But my point is it doesn't exist anywhere, guys. There's interest on everything. Whether you realize it or not, you are paying interest somewhere, right? So where do you access this? Well, as a new business, guys, do you think you're going to open a brand new LLC, walk into a bank tomorrow, and they're going to give you 0% interest on a business that doesn't have history? It's not going to happen, right? They're not going to give you loans. They're not going to give you lines of credit. And then they want 2 years of bank statements. Well, how old is the business? Like yesterday, do you have 2 years of bank statements? No, then they ask for things like P&Ls, profit and loss. Well, if there's no profit, is there any loss? No. You can't show them anything. Then they want taxes. You guys don't have any of this stuff sometimes, and that's okay. So that's why you can't access this stuff through loans. And if you do, it's a lot harder. Who's trying to go get like a personal loan? Don't raise your hand, right? You don't have to expose yourself here. And they're just like, yeah, no, it's not gonna happen. 50,000, 100,000, you're not gonna get it, right? But think about this, guys. The last time, if you've ever applied for a credit card, when's the last time they asked you for your bank statements and your tax statements and your profit and loss as an individual? When's the last time they asked you for that? Unless you have bad credit, they ask you, all right? But if you don't, this is how you hack the credit system. You're able to borrow without having to prove everything, which allows you to actually have money to start your businesses. So now you don't have to give up equity. You're able to have business credit, right? You're able to use this money. And here's the beautiful thing about 0%. It's 0%, right? So why is that important? Well, it doesn't matter what business you're in. I was like, yeah, that was a great joke, Daniel. It was fantastic, okay? So look, why? Because you can do it in real estate, right? You can do it to scale a business. You can hire employees. You can have inventory. And they're like, yeah, Daniel, but won't my credit score suffer? It does if you don't know what you're doing. So if you use personal credit, right? If you use personal credit, it's going to show up. But business credit, if you know what you're doing and you know how to access it, guess what? It doesn't report anywhere. So what if I have clients that want to get into real estate, maybe want to get into the short-term game, mid-term game, right? And they say, well, listen, man, I don't have that kind of liquid. And I could max out my credit cards, but now all of a sudden, my score's down. And if anything ever happens, well, guess what? Are you going to be able to access more? Probably not. Well, business credit, guys, it doesn't report to your personal. if you know what you're doing. So what happens if I go get $100,000 in credit cards, 0% interest, at least 12 months, guys, like 2-3 years ago, we're talking 24, 36 months, it was heaven, all right? Now we're like in purgatory, all right? But 12 months, 18 months, 0%, we're in a good place. I can go ahead and borrow that money out. I could be maxed out, or 90%, I don't recommend this, but let's say I need it to be, right? I'm at 90% utilization on my credit cards, but guess what my personal FICO credit score is? It's perfect. So if there's still an emergency in the future, I still have access to what? Money. So you guys are good. All right, let's try this again. Free what? Money. All right, thank you. Bro, thank you. Appreciate you like keeping me engaged the entire time. Do I need to slow down? No? Okay, yes, okay. Guys, so I didn't hear that. Repeat it. Okay. Guys, so now I'm able to leverage. I don't have to go liquidate $40,000 out of my bank account. And if I can't, what if I can't make payroll next week? I now have leverage because of credit. Where did the money come from? Nowhere. It was magically printed because we know they don't have it in their reserves, right? It's credit. And people are going to use it. If you don't, someone else will use it. Banks have literally a limited amount of money they can lend as an institution. So if someone's not using it, they take it away and give it to someone else, right? In hopes that they make, Daniel, why would they just give away money? Because they're hoping you mess up. They're hoping you mess up and they can charge you fees and interest and all that good stuff. But if you don't, the benefit is for you, right? So business credit, how do I actually access these things? Okay, talked about personal credit score. We're good with that. Number 2, if you have a business, go get your EIN, start building trade lines, all the beautiful things that everyone tells you to do. Now here's the thing. Age is the most important thing, okay? You cannot open a business tomorrow and expect to get funding from it. You're just not going to, right? They're like, Daniel, but why do they want to see my personal credit? It's a business card. Because you have no business history, okay? You have to back it up. So here's the thing. You can have a business, you can let it age, and then you can leverage your personal credit score in order to get business credit cards, right? You're like, Daniel, okay, I can do this. I can go and apply. Yes, absolutely, you can go and apply. Be smart. Do not go apply, like don't go get Capital One, guys. Like if you have a good credit score, go to Chase, go to Wells Fargo, go to Bank of America, go to the good banks, okay? Go to some of the credit unions that are offering a lot of money. FDCU, we got Navy Federal, we got all these good banks that are willing to give you money at 0%, right? And they say, but Daniel, what's my income? I literally have made $0 on my business. That's okay. So if you guys ever read the applications, what do they say? Sometimes they say projected income, estimated income this year, household income. Just read it correctly, and based on that, do with what you will, okay? But with that being said, understand where you play. Do not go to the bank with a 650 credit score and tell them you make $300,000. They're gonna ask for proof. Like, you understand that? Okay, but let's say you're starting a new business. Let's just say for the example, you have a very strong credit score. You have $6,000, $10,000, $15,000 credit cards, maybe a little aged on there, maybe a little less than that. And you have a 740, 760, well, you can go apply and you will most likely get approved without any proof of income. So no docs, right? No W-2s, no bank statements. They're not going to tell you to use Plaid. They're not going to ask for your mom to co-sign, right? They're not going to do those things, okay? So generally speaking, there's 2 people in this room that are looking at something like this that have a business, right? Person A cannot finance a wet paper bag. Okay, just can't do it. Not a wet paper bag, not a dry paper bag. They're not going to finance anything. And person B is actually ready to do something like this, right? So how do you do it? Well, number 1, I always recommend that you go to your personal relationships with banks, right? Develop them. Find a banker. Have conversations. Ask them what other products that you should get, and let them know that you want to start other businesses. So a long, long time ago, before getting into the industry with my partners, JP's here, the other one's in LA somewhere, right? Partying probably. But long, long time before this, and I was in the e-commerce space, I kind of realized that relationship banking was a real thing, and it worked, right? Because back then, I was like 18, 19 years old. I walked in, right? I was like, oh, I got good credit, and but I looked like 12, right? And a lot of us really young-looking people in here kind of have that issue, right? And you're not always going to dress in a suit all the time. It's not going to happen. Sometimes you go in there and they don't really want to take you seriously. But when you have relationship banking, it's a little bit different, right? When you have relationship banking, people know that they need to serve you a little bit more. They need to give you better options, and you get offers. It's pretty crazy, guys. We get emails coming in from different banks all the time because we have different managers, right? They're like, hey guys, have you looked at this? Right? Because we know we're going to be good for what? Good for business, right? So they start referring you things and offering you programs that aren't really offered to a lot of people. And the thing you guys have to understand about the banking world is that unfortunately right now, they're very incentivized to not help you, okay? So what does that mean? Well, whether they're the tellers or the bankers and the bankers that open lines of credit and they do retirement services and all this good stuff, they're literally being told, hey, if this client doesn't have $100,000 sitting in their bank account, then don't even bother sitting with them. And if you do, that's okay, but we're not gonna pay you extra. So it's all there, you're just not being told you have access to it, right? So what happens? Well, Daniel, 0% sounds great, but like, it sounds like a lot of stress, a lot of work. Yes, this isn't for everybody. You should kind of have a plan with what you're going to do with your credit, right? Don't blow it. You're using your hand? Okay, got it. And you can access free money, guys. It's free money as long as you do it right, okay? So with that being said, I'm just going to kind of skip to this end here. We'll go into Q&A real quick. I got 3 minutes for Q&A, and I kind of answer any questions that you guys might have. If not, though, follow one of us. Yes, gentleman in the back, very handsome with the hat.
Thank you. What can you do with credit? How do you leverage?
Oh, how do you leverage credit? Okay. Thank you, JP Movilgar, co-founder and COO of OPM Mastery. Appreciate it. Okay, so what can you do with credit? Anything you want, all right? You just have to, huh? Don't gatekeep? All right, guys. So I'll walk you through an example of something that we did for some of our clients when they need to invest, right? So let's say someone wants to get into real estate. They have no capital, they have a 740, 750 credit score, and they want to buy property. Well, how do I actually do this? Because number one, I need to come up with 20% down, right? Because it's supposed to be an investment property. And number two, I got to figure out how to season these funds because these funds are coming from credit cards. And there's a part in an application, in the loan application that asks, are these funds loaned or borrowed, right? Can't post this out anywhere else, right? But by the way, I'm not a loan officer or real estate agent, so I can talk about this stuff. But anyways, all right, guys, this is shout out to Felix Special Edition unreleased information that you guys aren't gonna get anywhere else. Okay, so here's what happens. Well, I can go ahead and source this funds, but Daniel, how would I pull this money out? Well, a lot of people tell you to do cash advances or gift cards and all these things. Here's the easiest way: use a merchant account. Okay, but it costs money. Yeah, business costs money, guys. Like it's what it is. All right, cool. So, but number two, but Daniel, when I get flagged, Stripe doesn't like it if I charge myself because they know what I'm doing. I'm getting cash. Absolutely, you're right. So you know what you do? You go ahead and get your best friend, your mom, your cousin, your aunt, whoever it is, add them as an authorized user on that card, okay? Obviously, are they ever gonna get that card? No. Is there any taxable liability for them? No, because it's not theirs. It's just reporting on their credit. You can, or if it's a business card, it won't even report there, okay? So what happens? The reason you do that is to avoid the flag from the merchant account, right? Because now I can go run 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 in that transaction, and the merchant isn't saying, well, you're charging yourself. Why? Because is my name on that invoice? Nope. So am I good? So now I have those funds in my business checking account, right? After it goes from the merchant account. Well, from the business checking account, I can now pay myself either as A, an employee, or B, as an owner, whether it be an executive bonus or whatever I'm gonna do. Now those funds can be sourced, traced, and qualified to be seasoned. And now I qualify for a what? For a loan. Now, where did I get this 20% to purchase a property that's gonna go make me $10,000, $20,000 a month?
Credit card.
From where?
Credit card.
Where did those come from?
Amen.
American Express, right? Okay, but where did all that money come from? Nowhere. But credit score, that's my point, right? So if you walked into a bank tomorrow and said, hey, I would like to borrow $50,000 to put on a down payment to go get another $500,000 loan, what would they say? No, right? That's one example. But there's a lot of other ways to leverage credit. That's just one of them. Guys, figure out where your niche is, figure out where your business is. If not, talk to professionals in the industry that can help you do so. And go make money, guys. It's free. It's free.